This is the Sales 101 title screen. For this session, I'm actually going to be using a system called Mentimeter. And what would be great, if you can get your phone or another device and open a browser and type in www.menti.com and then use this passcode 89665741. And what that'll do, that'll enable you to be a bit more interactive with it. Now, I'm going to ask some questions as we go through this, so that will sort of have a bit more interactivity in the session. So this is an introduction about me. I absolutely love sales. I think sales is everywhere, and we'll talk quite a bit about that in the next hour, I hope. And you'll see my passion in the world of sales. I'm also a bit of a geek. I love technology. In my spare time, I build websites, I do PHP programming, and I love gadgets and so on. So I'm a real bit of a tech freak. My whole career has been in the world of training, and this is corporate training. So this is how do you train adults in the workplace rather than higher education. So basically everyone who has a job and is working for a company, that sort of corporate training, that's the business that I've been in for my career. And as a passion, what I really like is startups. So I've worked on quite a few different startups, both in technology and training. But there are two really that I'm working on at the moment. One is Towerfly. Yeah, the passcode will be, I'll see the questions in the chat. The passcode will be at the top again. So it's menti.com and use that passcode. It should come up in the screen. You should see it at the top there. So the two startups I'm working on, one is Towerfly, which is a property technology app, really enabling extra communication between tenants and also property managers. The second one's called Big World Training. And this is all about how to connect corporate training managers with instructors that deliver training. So there are links on there. You can go and have a look at those. And then my main job that I do here, I do sales consulting at the moment for a company called Algosaibi Training that's rebranding to ASAS Training. So it's asas-training.com. We deliver a whole range of leadership and health and safety and IT courses and so on. So it's well worth a look on that website as well. So my first question for all of you is, when someone mentions the word sales, what's the first word you think of? So what do you think when someone says sales? So if you open Menti and just type that in, hopefully this will work and some things will pop up. Yeah, rather than type in the chat, that's it. If you can type into Menti, then they'll come up. Oh, wow, okay. So selling communication is fantastic. Money, of course. Why would you sell if you don't get money? That's a fantastic comment. Offers, how many products, the volume that you're selling, buying. There's quite a bit in here, isn't there? Marketing, of course. How to satisfy consumers. Yeah, if you don't satisfy your consumer, you're not going to sell much, are you? Certainly won't sell to them again. Okay, there's an awful lot here. You're actually bringing up more than I'm going to cover in this hour session, so I'm not quite sure what I do. Mutual benefit, of course, absolutely. So that's negotiating and making sure you both win from the deal. Revenue again with money, supply and demand, branding, absolutely. Target audience, who you're going to sell to. So we'll touch upon some of that as well in this session. Wow, these are really good ideas. Okay, after this session, I will send you the whole PowerPoint deck, and I'll also send you everything that people typed in here as well, so you can see. So you don't have to make notes. I'll send it all to you. Okay, thank you. Wow, discounts, random sales calls I get. Well, that's prospecting. That's good. We'll touch upon that as well. Okay, I'll whiz on to the next slide. That's brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so what I want to just talk about quickly is, why is sales so important? Why have you joined this session, and why am I so passionate about sales? And I think the most important thing is the third pink bullet point there. Selling is everywhere and everything. So I'd just like to think, if you imagine any human to human interaction, without you realizing it, you're selling. So if you're speaking to someone at university, you might be discussing what you're going to do this weekend and where you should go. And you're actually trying to pitch an idea. You know, I'd prefer to go to this iftar and not that one. So every human interaction, whether you're getting a job, you're selling yourself, even if you're the interviewer and interviewing, you're selling the company that the interviewee is coming to join. If you go and buy something in a shop, you can be selling yourself to say, well, I'm going to buy more from you. Can I have a discount? Absolutely every human encounter you do, whether it's speaking to your boss, your lecturer, you know, try and make sure you don't get quite so much homework, or you get a better mark because you're portraying yourself that you understand the subject. Absolutely everything that you do. Just think about any human to human interaction and you are selling. And if you're selling without understanding that you are selling and learning about selling, you're not going to perform as well as if you do. So just think about everything. If you meet a potential partner, you're selling yourself. You want to make sure that you come across as the best person that they should be with. Everything is selling. So all around you is selling. Networking is part of selling. Everything that you do is selling. So this is so important, not just for business, but for life. It's a huge skill to have. So you know, that's kind of why I ended up loving it and really liking what I was doing. So the second point in selling is the middle point there, is about money and revenue. And the company here that I'm working for, ASAS Training, the boss of that made a great comment the other week. He said the first rule of business is to stay in business. How do you stay in business? You have to make revenue. If you don't make revenue, your business fails and you will lose your job. It's the number one thing every business has to do. So sales and revenue generation are your number one task that the company has to do and has to get right. And that doesn't really matter whether you're, you know, direct selling and getting revenue, or if you're an organization and you have to generate funds to keep going. The University of Bristol, Bahrain. Join a company and they say, we sell tractors, so what? If you join a company and they say, we sell a new type of tractor that saves carbon dioxide, that enables poor farmers to grow more food, it's that type of purpose that people want to belong to and be passionate about. So selling ideas is also hugely important. So particularly in the startup world, this is really important. So what I'm going to do now is just talk a little bit about definitions. And definitions in Bahrain always surprise me sometimes. It's when you go to a shop and you use your credit card, they say, is this Wi-Fi? And I scratch my head and I'm like, Wi-Fi is a technology system for your home to connect to the internet. It's nothing to do with my credit card. So terminology is different in every country. It means different things to different people. And a lot of people, they say the word marketing, and in marketing, they encompass all of sales and marketing. And my definition, the way I look at sales and marketing, is quite separate skills, separate processes, separate ways of operating those processes, different tools to use the thing. So to me, marketing is about generating awareness of your brand and generating leads. Now, in the world of B2C, you can generate leads that you drive people to a website and then convert them to make sales. But predominantly in the world of business to business selling, marketing is just about awareness and generating leads. It's the sales team and the sales function that takes those leads and converts them into revenue, right? So that's the sort of different spacing of marketing and sales. And this particular presentation, I'm just focusing on sales. Marketing is a whole other world, which I can talk to as well for a long time. But I just wanted to make sure we're all focused. I'm just going to be talking about sales and business to business sales. So what I'd like to talk now is a bit more about why we think people buy anything. So why do you buy a car or a house or lipstick, or why do you buy a holiday? Why do people buy? What are the main reasons that people buy? What do you think? Needs, yeah, I like that. I need something. Satisfy their needs, wants and needs. There's a lot of needs. Survival. You certainly would buy something to survive, that's true. There's a lot about need. Need, interest, survival, demand, solve a problem. I like solve a problem is more coming to where I see it. Wants is good. So when, just as you're typing in, when you say need, why would someone need something? What are the reasons behind needing something? Desire of being unique, spend their money, spend someone else's money is always good as well. Interest, fun, I like fun is good too. And this is really important. Understanding why people buy can put you in a really strong position when you start selling. To take money, lifestyle, entertainment's a good one, of course, when they open all the cinemas and bowling alleys again. Need, requirements, wants. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all of these into 3 main categories. And when people buy, if you do any reading and studying on sales, they say there are only 2. I've actually put 3 in here because we're in the Middle East, and I think the third is quite important to talk about. But the first and most important point, people buy to avoid pain. And if you remember that, of anything else covered in this presentation, you'll be really set in sales. So people buy when they're suffering a lack of time, or a lack of money, or a lack of even health, having pain. That's why people spend so much on doctors and so on. Anything to avoid pain, people will pay money for. So if you give someone a shortcut with a piece of software, anything like that that's going to avoid pain, avoid having to spend money on something they don't want to spend it on. Pain is the #1 reason people buy. The second reason is pleasure. So when everyone's talking about needs, I think needs come under either pain or pleasure. So people spend a huge amount of money on pleasure, whether that's holidays, whether that's going and eating out. Pleasure is a huge thing. So if you look at pain and pleasure, you've got 99% of sales there. But there's a third thing that's really, really important, particularly here in the Middle East, and also if you're selling into government sectors as well, is will it make me look good? Or counter argument to that, is there any chance this is going to make me look bad? Right, so you've got a risk there as well, which you've got to look at. And people will spend money here. If you can go to someone and say, listen, I'm going to sell you this, and I guarantee it's going to get you a promotion, you know, because you'll look so good, they'll buy it. So it's a really important third sort of pillar. So pain, pleasure, and how good is this going to make me look? Okay, so that's why the person will buy off of you. And really thinking about those things, they're all emotions, and that's really important to understand. People buy on emotion. They do not buy on return on investment. Is this gadget going to work in a particular way? Everyone sells to begin with on features and functions and benefits. You don't. You sell on emotions. You sell how are you going to prevent that pain, how are you going to give pleasure, and how you can make them look good. It's all emotional. Your psychology to success. So what do you need to have as your traits to be able to make sure that you can sell well? And there's a whole set of things here that you can actually work on. None of this is unachievable for any of us. We can all work on all of these things. So the first is positive thinking. And this is being proven time and time again. If you think yourself strong, you think yourself resilient, you think yourself you're going to succeed, you will succeed. One of the tricks I do, I actually put together a vision board. I take post-it notes and pictures and put together, you know, being in this particular contract or this company, what's success going to look like? And I look at that vision board again and again every day. So that projecting yourself into the future and positive thinking is massive. With that, you've got to believe that you're going to be successful. So I think my biggest story on belief is I was skiing for 6 months and I thought I got really good at skiing. And this 14-year-old kid came on his holiday and skied with me. He just said, oh, can I ski with you? And he was better than me at skiing in every way possible. Turn better, go down, you know, steeper slopes, could do jumps, everything. And I asked him, I said, how long have you been skiing? And he said, well, 4 days. And I asked this 14-year-old, I said, how can you be this good at 4 days skiing? And he said, I just know I'm good. And that type of belief that you can build is hugely, hugely important. So positive thinking and belief. The third thing that successful salespeople and successful entrepreneurs have in abundance is focus on actions. So don't sit there thinking, I can't do this until something else happens, or, you know, maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Do things straight away. If anything is there and needs to be done, just do it. If you need to ring up a customer, if you need to get a proposal out, just action, action, action. Habits are hugely important. Once you start, you know, when you do something for the first time, very, very difficult. You do it a few times, it becomes easier. Once it becomes a habit, if you're driving, you just drive to and from university without thinking. So when things become habits, they become easy. Empathy is hugely important. You've got to put yourself in the place of the customer all the time, all the time. So having empathy with the customer is important. We'll talk about questions later. Patience and resilience is hugely important. So I think I once did a pitch to a company and 2 years later they decided to buy. So to have patience on sales cycles and resilience is important to make sure you close deals. Problem solving. So more and more in modern sales, you're not there just to talk about a product. You're talking about, remember, solving their pain, giving them pleasure. So how are you going to solve their problems? So having that analytical mind is really, really helpful. And self-awareness and emotional intelligence really ties back to empathy again. So these are all things you can work on, you can improve. And they'll help you with lots of other things as well as sales. One of the key things people fail to do when they do sales is they land a sales job and they start selling. And while that shows action, while that shows get up and go, you can waste a massive amount of time by selling the wrong product to the wrong person, approaching the market in the wrong way, not realizing a competitor is undercutting you on price, a whole load of things. So sitting down and delivering a sales plan is one of the first things you need to do. And you really need to understand, what are you selling? Are you selling a product? Are you selling a service? Are you selling something which is a bit of both, which is more and more common? You need to look at your pricing strategy. And then you've really got to think, what is your unique selling proposition, USP? Why are you different from the rest of the market? And from that, you can build out your value proposition. So what does the customer really value? What do they value in what you're selling? And really nail that down. And from that, once you've got a USP and value, you can look at all your advantages over your competitors. So it's really important to know why you're better than your competition. For the sales planning, you also need, because you can't, I think with startups and sales, the number one thing that you feel frustrated about is time. You just don't have enough time to do everything you want to do. So you really need to focus. The sales planning focus is really, really good to know what product you're selling to who. Once you do that, you can then start to see what size team you need and what sort of tools that you need to put in place. So on the right here, we've got geography, where are we selling it, sectors, nail those down. What's the size of the company? Because of course, what you would sell to a small SME is very different than what you'd sell to a big company like Babco or something like that. You need to really identify in each of the companies you're going to, who are the decision makers, plants, we call them. So who are the people within that company who will help you? There's normally one or two people in a company who will be your guide, if you like, and say, oh, you need to speak to this person or that person, or whatever you do, don't speak to this person. And also in a company, you want to know who are the influencers. So who are going to influence that sale, either positively or negatively, because you often find in companies there might be one person who says, no, don't buy that, I've got a different product. So you need to find out all of those individual people. You then, in your sales planning, you need to start saying, okay, how are we going to generate leads? So how are we going to find contacts? How are we going to know whether those contacts might turn into a sale? How are we going to do marketing? How are we going to do prospecting? How are we going to find those leads? And then you take all of this, so these are all the different categories that you need to think about, and you put that together in an action plan. And if you don't put it together in an action plan, you don't do it. You just have a nice document. So I've put it in bold there. Take all of that information and write an action plan. And what I normally do is have, what's your overall strategy? What are the goals you're trying to achieve? I'm trying to achieve this many sales in this particular product in this market. And for that, I need these tactics. I need to do 10 outbound calls a day, 3 meetings a day, and I need to send this many brochures, or whatever it is that you need to do. So building that action plan is really important as well. Why are you not clicking on? Here we go. Okay, so this is starting to look about process. So there's a lot to take in, but this is in most cases the way a sale moves through. So the first thing that you'll do is do prospecting, and there's 2 different maps here. There's one in the main slide, one on the right, and you'll see they both kind of map, and you can generate your own. So each pipeline and each process that you use will depend on the product or service that you're doing. Some of these stages will take longer than others, but generally the first one's prospecting. It's finding the right people in the right companies who you think are going to buy. It's then calling them up and qualifying them. So do they have a problem? Are they interested in your product? Are they the right people? So just qualifying, is there an opportunity? And they might say, no, we're not interested. We've just bought this system and that's in there for 5 years. Bang. So you disqualify that opportunity and get on with the next one. You then go into the next stage, which is really finding out all the information from them. So it's, what are their needs? What are their pain points? What are their problems? What do they think are the problems? What do they think of your company? What do they think of the market? You know, what are they really after? And there's much information as you can get about the company, the people, how they're going to buy. All of this stuff is crucial. Once you've got all of that, you can then start to put together a proposal. So you can say, well, this is how we propose we're going to solve your problem. This is how much it's going to cost. This is the treatment. This is how we're going to implement it. Once you send a proposal, you normally go into a negotiation stage. So they'll say, can you do it at half the price? Can we have twice as many gadgets? Whatever it is that they want. So you go into a negotiation. After the negotiation, hopefully you win the work. So they'll give you a purchase order or a contract and say, fantastic, that's just what we want. However, sometimes your competitor will win. So you can lose to a competitor, or you can get to the very end of the process and that company says, well, it's all too expensive, we don't like anything, and they can say, no, we're not buying. So they can cancel that opportunity. And then what's a key thing that a lot of companies forget is what you do after. So the post-purchase, there's a whole range of things that you can do post-purchase, which we'll cover in another slide in a second. Now, when you build your sales process for your company, your startup, when you write all of these stages down, one of the really powerful things is you really do not move to the next stage until you're 100% satisfied with that stage. So for example, if you don't qualify the lead correctly, and you don't qualify they have the budget, or you don't qualify that the decision makers involved in this process, or you don't qualify that that company is actually a profitable company, or anything that can scupper a sale right at point number 2 there, you can waste all of your time and get to the negotiation, and they say in negotiation right at the end, but the decision maker wasn't involved and they've pulled this, or we just aren't making enough profit as a company, so we can't, you know, we're not interested in buying your service. So what we do is we put advance agreements. And this is another sales process. This comes out of a book called Client Builder Training. And just as an aside, this is a fantastic book, The Client Builder Process. If you buy this one book and just learn this one book off by heart and practice this one book, you'll be in the top 10% of salespeople. It's a fantastic book, so I thoroughly recommend it. But anyway, one of the key things that this book says is you do not go into the next stage until, first of all, you're completely satisfied you've delivered on that stage. And the second is you get an agreement from the customer, from the client. So if you do all of the analysis, you actually say to the customer, right, I'm now prepared to build a proposal on this condition. You will set a meeting, you will get the decision maker involved, and you get that agreement at each of the stages as you go through. And when you get that advanced agreement, the sales process rapidly increases in speed. So these advanced agreements are key to making sure you have a really speedy sales process. And one of the things that kills a lot of sales is slowness when you're not fast. Okay, so you've now why people are buying, how you can sell, the process. What's really crucial to, because you might be speaking to 100 different companies and your head will just explode, because 100 different companies, there are 5 or 6 people in each company that has something to do with this sales. You've got 500 human beings in your head, each of them thinking something different and wanting something different, and you have to pitch to them slightly different. So your head will explode if you don't have some form of tool to help you. And if we start first of all on the left, the opportunity field. So every single tool in sales has these types of fields for each opportunity. So say, for example, I'm in Bapco and I'm selling valves. to BAPCO. Okay, so the account name is the company name, that's BAPCO. Country, Bahrain. Opportunity name, supply of 5,000 valves. Source is where did that opportunity come from? So did it come from an email campaign? Did it come from the marketing team? Did it come from a direct salesperson just calling them up? Did it come because they saw an advert in a newspaper? So that source is important to know where that opportunity came from. Heat is, do you need to focus on that today, or can it wait for a few days, or can it wait a couple of weeks? So heat is normally, you know, hot, warm, cold, and you focus on the hot opportunities. These are the ones that you want to focus on. Stage is the process stage we just talked about. RFP date, that is when do you anticipate they're going to send you a request for proposal? So if you go through the stages, what date do you think they're going to ask for a proposal? When do you think you can deliver the proposal to them? And when do you think you're going to sign the contract, target close date? Now, those dates are really cool for forward reporting, and managers and companies want to know when revenue's coming through. So these 3 dates are really useful to have in there. Then what we have is the go and get percentages. Go is how likely are they to buy. So if BAPCO are after 5,000 valves, and we know that they have this huge new refinery project, they need these valves. So the go is 100%. If they don't have the valves, they can't go ahead with their projects. They are going to buy valves from someone. Other opportunities, they could be looking at a software system. So the go might be 50. They might say, shall we update, shall we not? The get is what percentage do you think your company is going to win this business? So if there are 4 companies that can supply valves and they're equally as good as each other, your get would be 25%. The revenue is how much total revenue you're going to get from selling these valves. So say, for example, the revenue was 1 million dinars, the get was 25%. So already you're down to 250,000 dinars, and the go is, say that's 100. So your opportunity value is your revenue times the get times the go. And that's how much that particular opportunity is worth at that point. So these are really good revenue figures for your finance people. Sales lead, who is accountable for closing that deal? Next step, very, very key to have in your tool. What is the physical next thing you're going to do to move this opportunity forward? Try and get a meeting. Do I have to send a proposal? What is the next step you do? And that is your real to-do list. So to manage all of these 100 opportunities, most people have a CRM system, customer relationship management system. But to start with, you can even do like a pipeline in Excel, and I can send you one of those. You can have a look at it as well. But there are a whole load of CRM systems. I won't go into all of these and which you would use for which. Small startups use systems like Zoho. Salesforce is a big enterprise system. So it really depends what you're trying to do with a CRM system and what size of business, and also the maturity of your business as to which tool that you would use. But these tools are they're really for 2 things. First of all, is helping you, because without a tool like this, you'll get totally lost. And the second is for management reporting. So whether it's shareholders, the company managers, they want to know what's coming down the line in terms of sales and revenue. Okay, so this is a completely different question now. I'm going to flip it. Right, imagine you're now selling. You've got yourself your first sales job, or you've got your startup, you're out there selling it to businesses. If you can only pick one of these things, which one would it be that you think is going to have the greatest impact for helping you sell? Is it giving stellar pitches? Is it being a fantastic negotiator? Is it asking the client questions? Is it finding the right tool, this right CRM tool? Is it making that sales plan we spoke about? Is it being a great closer? So, they say always be closing. So all of the old-fashioned sales courses, they say closing, closing, closing. You've got to be closing. So This is often seen as a big one. Or is it being on commission? So is it, you know, make this sale, I'm going to give you 1,000 dinars. So which one of these things is the most important? I think we've got a winner. Making a sales plan is shot ahead. Asking client questions is now second. Someone wants commission. Good for you. Whoever wants commission is destined to be a good salesperson. That's I like that. Okay, wow. So most of you have gone for making a sales plan. Well, the truth is, report after report and study after study has shown that the number one thing is questioning, asking the right questions. And I've actually put this slide on listening as well, because listening is a skill all around questions. So when you are in front of a customer, almost without fail, salespeople start saying, this is my product, it can do this, it's going to save you money, it's going to do this, blah, 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 start talking. Those people make some sales, but not many. The people that make the most sales, the biggest thing, are people that ask questions. And the questions they ask are also really important. They have to be open, probing questions. And I had a whole list down here. I can ask some of them. So, okay, a great question would be, what's holding you back from reaching your revenue targets? And just be silent. Just let them speak. With one simple question like that, you can get half hour of them talking. But everything that's stopping them meeting their revenue targets or meeting their goals, you know, what is stopping you meeting your KPIs? Bang, you get them to talk about everything. You can ask questions, you know, if you were to make this, remember this is a third pillar I spoke about, if you were to make this happen, what would it mean for you personally? What does success look like for you? If there were no restrictions on you of money and so on, what would you change in your organization? You know, all these types of powerful questions, and they don't have to be related to your product or service at all, because you're sitting in the room representing your product or service. The questions that you ask, the client will frame them around what you can do. And the more questions you can ask, you will get more sales, even if, especially in the early stages of the sales process. And if you go back to that slide on client builder selling, they actually promote the idea of don't even give a presentation on your product or service until way down the sales process. All the qualification, all of these probing questions that you're asking are hugely important. So the two critical things, and you can look on the internet about this now that you know that questioning is most important, and read up tons about it, because if you think about sales, also think about your influence and the world around you. So if you read books such as How to Win Friends and Influence People, you'll see again and again, it's all about questions. The more questions you ask and the more you listen, the more people think that you are fabulous. The more you tell people things and say, this is fabulous, I'm fabulous, they think worse and worse of you and worse of your product. So asking questions and listening, remember that is very key. Now, as well as questioning and listening, there are a lot of other skills that we're not going to cover in detail, but these are some of the key skills that you can start to learn. So the opportunity diagnosis. So you're asking questions, you're researching the company, you're looking at, are they profitable? Is it the right people? So diagnosing the opportunity. Is it fulfilling their need? Are they interested in it? Is there a fit? All of this information that's coming back, you can then say, which opportunity should I focus on? Which one do I want to say is hot? Which one's warm? Which one's cold? But also you feed back into your sales plan to say, right, we've tried approaching the market in this way. All the opportunities are happening in a different way. So constantly diagnosing the opportunities is a really, really good key. And it takes a little bit of science and art and really understanding what's going on to do that. Overcoming resistance. So every single sales has objections, and overcoming objections all the way through the sales process is a whole skill in itself. And it's actually when you start to understand why people have objections, they're actually really positive, because they are buying signals. They are, I want to buy from you if you can help me overcome this. And they're really, really good. When you start to understand when people have objections and how to overcome them, you'll achieve much, much bigger sales and better sales. Understanding why clients decide, how they make decisions, is also a very, very useful skill. So again, it's sort of framing, it's using that emotional intelligence, putting yourself in place of the client and understanding how that they're going to make that decision. And then closing deals, it's the good old adage of closing, always be closing. Make sure you ask for the business. A lot of people are scared of just saying, we've had this advance agreement, we've gone through this, I've shown the proposal, I understand your pain. When can we sign the contract? I don't know why people are scared of just asking for the business. So go for it. Just make sure that you do close and you ask for the business. And around making sure you close, it comes back to the opportunity diagnosis in a way. Is there urgency? Do they have a need? Is the decision maker there? So, if you have that opportunity diagnosis and that, the first number 1 and 2, getting the right prospects and the right qualification, closing becomes a lot easier. So those are some extra skills to do. I'm now going to talk about keeping customers. It is 10 times easier to sell to the same customer as it is to find a new one. So my question to every person who's doing B2B sales is, do you want to spend 10 days work writing proposals, meeting a customer, going through the process and selling them a product? Or do you want to just do 1 day's work and sell the same revenue? If you want to do that, sell to your current customers. And there are many, many ways of selling to your current customers. You can upsell, cross-sell, and there's a whole in here, a few extra sort of things you can do to keep them. Thank them, reward them with loyalty, go and meet them. We've all had this, haven't we? Someone sells something to you and then just disappears. How frustrating is that? So once you sell something, you put them on your list as meet, call up once every month. How are you doing? How's it going? You contact your customer service desk. Are there any problems with this particular client? Always make sure you over deliver. So whatever you've promised in the sale, make sure you give more. Ask that customer to be part of your company. So a lot of organizations end up with advisory panels or strategic groups, which they invite key customers to. And again, ask some questions. How is it going for you? What could we do more for you? And this leads into what is then called key account management. And key account management is when you have a large customer with a large revenue and you want to keep them. And key account management is another presentation, but it's all about understanding that customer inside and out. And once you do that, if you can get a key account and maintain business with a key account, it's a fantastic revenue and it's long term. They don't just become a client that's just bought a product and that's it. They call it commodity broker. I give you money, you give me something. You can actually start to become a partner. You can behave as if you're part of that company and get completely intertwined with them. And when you do that, it's really hard for that company to let go. And I'm sure you can think of lots of services and products that companies do to make sure they retain key accounts. Okay, so now fast forward yourself a couple of years. You've put all of this in practice. You're doing a great sales job. But the market's too big. So you start to hire more salespeople and you have a whole sales team. Managing a sales team, sales management, requires very, very different skills from selling. And people who are really good salespeople often are very poor sales managers. You need to know a lot more about management, how to motivate people, you know, what's the purpose. So you've got rewards there under motivating. People are rewarded much more and drive performance much more from purpose rather than rewards. You've got to make sure they're in that order. Hiring good salespeople, I've put there almost impossible. I think it's impossible. Any really, really good salesperson will just go and start their own company because it's the key thing for revenue. So hiring really good salespeople is a big focus of your time. Is how do you hire, recruit and retain the top sales talent? And again, you can't be doing that and selling. So sales management, you've got to have a real management head rather than a sales head. You've got to constantly be training your sales team, training them not just in selling, but also your products and services. And you'll be amazed how many salespeople you actually start asking and they know very little about their own product or service. You can Google more information yourself. And then as a sales manager, you need to be doing that reporting to management. What revenue is coming through? What are we likely to achieve? So you need to be running the processes and tools. So in all of this lot, there are three things as a sales manager you're looking at: people, processes, and tools. Right, those are the three things that you've got to be really focused on when you're a sales manager. So this is, I'm very near the end of my presentation now. I notice we've got 10 minutes left. So just a quick question from you. Rattling through all of that, what's the most important thing you've learned today? And again, it's menti.com 89665741. Ask questions. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Sales, yes, absolutely. Sales is so important for everything. And I hope you can take a lot away with this and apply it, not just within B2B sales, but the whole of your life. Call your customers, action. Yeah. Which customers are going to buy anything from you if you don't call them up and engage with them? Questions again, sales can be a passion. Absolutely. Absolutely. Process of how complex planning for sales is, it can be very, but don't, even though planning is complex, try and keep it simple. Set up mission for sales, process of sales, process, asking questions again, but sales is everything. Okay. I don't know if sales is everything, but it certainly is. Every human to human interaction is sales, that's for sure. Sales, how efficient sales process stages occurs, fantastic. Marketing. Again, I'd love to do a session on marketing as well. It's so important to the beginning of the sales process. Focus on process, dealing with customers, absolutely. Finding leads, yeah, actually finding the right people and the right companies can be half of your time in sales sometimes. That's really good. Asking a question. There's some really good answers in that. This is brilliant, everything. Excellent. I'm going to, because I want just a few minutes for questions as well, so I'll click on the next one, but these are brilliant. Okay, so this is my last slide. I told you not to write anything down, but at the very bottom there, if you write that URL down, myleso'connor.com/UOB, you can download this presentation. I've got an example pipeline and a few other bits. I've got all my contact details on there as well. So that's something you can write down and get all of this information from. So being at university, I remember being, I mentioned Brighton rather than Bahrain because I went to the University of Bristol, and I lived in Brighton. Everything begins with a B in my life. Don't know why. But after university, it's a really different mind shift from in university, everything's given to you. You've got your curriculum, you've got your lessons, everything organized. You leave university and suddenly everything's chaos. No one's teaching. You have to learn yourself. You have to go and find things. So what I'd really like you to do is start to particularly in sales, is you have to go and learn it yourself. No one's going to sit there and teach you sales. You have to go out there and find your own information, use Google, use YouTube, use everything you can find on the internet. And the second thing is learning by doing. The best way to learn sales is go out and sell something. It's as simple as that. And if you can learn this skill and really start to get good at it, it's going to set you up in life. I'd say virtually every CEO in a company I know has done part of their career doing sales and generating revenue. Because to be a CEO and run a company, if you don't understand how to generate revenue, your company just can't exist. So you find virtually every successful CEO knows marketing, knows sales. There's skills that they know and they do well. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to set you a voluntary assignment. It's nothing to do with your degree or anything else. But what I'd like you to do is, if you so wish to take up this challenge, I will help you. I will donate my time to help you and look at it. I'd like you to have this voluntary assignment where you go out and choose a product or service. So if you have a friend or a family member who has a company, ask them, say, could I sell some of your valves, or could I sell some of your hair products, or, could I help sell something to another business that, can I go around to different retail shops and sell this for you? So choose a product or service that you think you could sell, whether it's consultancy service or whatever it happens to be. Find a friend or family or a business that you go and ask and say, can I try and sell this product or service? Then make a sales plan. So you've got the slides here. You can look on Google and download templates for sales plan and send it to me. And you can do that in the next week, couple of weeks, if you like, during Ramadan. If you find time, send it to me. And I'm more than happy to look at it and send you ideas back on how you could put this better and so on. Then what I'd like you to do is create an opportunity pipeline with at least 5 companies you're going to go and meet. Ring them up, set up meetings or use Zoom like this, and start selling. Start asking those questions. What are your pain points? How can we help you? Start generating that pipeline and generating those sales. And then use all of the skills, everything that you've learned today and what you'll practice, to see how far you can get those 5 or 10, whichever you choose, opportunities further down the pipeline. See how far you can go. And then put a note in your diary on the 1st of July. Don't spend a huge amount of time, just a page of A4, just type up what you've done, what you decided to sell, and how that opportunity pipeline's going, and what you've learned by 1st of July. And on 1st of July, I'll look at them all again and send you back some tips and stuff as well. So that's your voluntary assignment. I promise you, if you take this up and start to sell, just actually get out there and do it, you'll learn more than weeks and weeks and weeks in a classroom. You often say people do MBAs and they study business. They can study business for years and years and years. Get out there and start running a business. You learn so much more quickly. So learning by doing is taking all the theory and everything that you've learned, putting into practice is really important. So there's a voluntary assignment for all of you. And with that, thank you very much for your time. I've finished.